Here's the second part of our discussion on information system stakeholders, or the people that are involved in the development of a business application or information systems. So we have talked about the other stakeholders. Now we're focusing on the systems analyst. Now, what does a systems analyst do? So first, it might be not what you expected, because you might have been thinking about the systems analyst as someone who does the programming, for instance. But no, the first and most important role would be to solve a problem, systems problem solving, the act of studying a problem in the environment in order to implement corrective solutions that take the form of new or improved systems. So this is not just any problem solving, but first trying to find out what is the root problem that an organization or that a company has. And then from those root problems, you would be finding which solutions would need the use of information systems, would need the use of business applications. Would it be in the form of a new one, or would you be improving the one that you already have? And then the system analyst would use a variation of what we call the systems development life cycle, or the SDLC. There are several variations. There might be 5 or 6 stages, but they all have the same flow. They all have the same concept of thinking. Now, these are the steps that are involved in SDLC. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, because there are several variations, like I said earlier. So first, planning. When you plan an application or a system, you would be identifying the scope and boundary of the problem and plan the development strategy and goals. Meaning you have to choose which problem you would be solving. And then you would be limiting. Otherwise, you would be developing a never-ending application development. It would be going everywhere. So you have to define which problem you would be solving and limit the development of the application to solve those problems. And then you do analysis. You study the problem. What are the root causes? What are the effects? This we would be practicing in more detail later on. And then identify and analyze the requirements that must be fulfilled for the solution. So what data do you need to be put into, recorded into the system, for instance? What are the information that need to be given out by the system? And then the system analyst would be helping in the design of the application. After design, they would be facilitating the implementation. Design in this case would include the programming, but in other SDLC concepts, design and building would be different. Okay. And then after it's designed and then it's built, then the system, the application would be implemented, meaning used in the organization or used in the company. And then the analyst would be supporting if, for instance, the problem is not solved yet. What do you need to change from the system? And it's not just about the system itself. It might be about the training of the workers. It might be about building a better culture that is a better environment for using the information system itself. Here you can see it in a diagram. Okay, so there might be an old solution, but then there's a new problem that arises in the company. So you would be doing planning again, planning to solve the problem, and then you analyze the problem. After the problem is analyzed, you would be giving out solutions. You would be designing the solution in the form of an information system, and then it would be implemented. And after the implementation, there would be support for the maintenance, for the use of the system. And if it's not solved, the problem is not solved, then it goes back to analysis. Maybe there needs to be changes in the system. Or maybe there's a new solution that needs to be given in the same information system, in the same application. So here, this part, you might need a new application. And this part, you would be using the same application, but using it for different problems, or adding more functions on top of the current application or system. And then implement it again and so on. If there are errors, or there are bugs, for instance, then you need to fix the bug. So it doesn't go way back here or here, it just goes back to the implementation there. And then eventually there would be more problems coming up, and the solution, the information system, the application would be obsolete because there are new changes, there are new problems, then you would need to enhance the system or change the system. Now, the system analyst would not just be focusing on just one aspect. They would be focusing on 5 different aspects of systems development. First, they need a focus on people, a people focus. So this is more talking about the psychology of the people using it, for instance, the sociology, how people use systems, how to encourage people to input data to the system and then use the system itself, including, for instance, with managers, users, other developers, also talking about organizational behaviors, about politics. Politics not meaning country politics, but meaning politics inside the organization, where you have different groups of people and each has different interests in the system. They would be trying to assert their influence on other groups of people, this kind of politics, which happens everywhere. And then data. So you would need to know what data you need to capture, what data you need to put into the system, what data you need to validate, check whether the data is correct or not. How do you organize the data? Where do you store it? How do you process it? And then how do you use the data? Now also here, more specifically on processes, which processes would be automatically done by the application, which would be done manually, which would be inside the application, which would be done outside of the application, and then combine it to produce the needed information. Also about the interfaces. So what would you be showing on the display screens? What kind of reports you would need? What do you show in each screen? Which screen leads to which screen? And so on. So how the information flows and shown either in printed form or also on the screen. And then there would be also networks. How would you distribute the data in the company, between divisions in the company, between the company and its external partners, with the customer, with the suppliers? So networks would also be developed by the systems analyst.